Knock on the table. Good evening. Welcome to Grand Blanc Township Board meeting for Tuesday, October 29th. If we could all rise for the pledge, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Clerk Robertson. Would you please call the roll?
I would be happy to call the roll, Mr. Supervisor. Trustee Hugo?
Here.
Trustee Fike?
Here.
Trustee Raridan?
Here.
Trustee White is absent. Treasurer Kilmer?
Here.
Myself? Supervisor Bennett?
Yes, here.
6 members present, a quorum.
Thank you. I will now entertain a motion for approval of the agenda. Fike makes that motion, supported by Ms. Hugo.
Agenda. Motion by Fike, supported by Hugo. Trustee Raridan?
Yes.
Trustee Hugo?
Yes.
Trustee Fike?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer?
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett?
Yes.
Okay. The agenda is passed. 6-0, motion passes.
Very good. Now we'll open the floor for public comment. We ask keep it to 3 minutes or less. We do not have the comment cards here today, so we'll just ask for you to give your name. Good evening.
You know who I am.
Yes.
Lynn Henry,
Evening,
Deputy
Miss.
Clerk for Grand Blanc Township. So I guys just came here to kind of cover, to let you know, if you've seen 9-day early voting is going spectacular. We happen to be the busiest one in the county currently. So Saturday, you might have heard, we had a line out the door all day. So we had 615 voters Saturday, 523 Sunday, 568 yesterday, 433 today, a little less, for a total of 2139 come through our office already for early voting. We have over 11,300 absentee ballots issued. We have 74% back already. So we're doing really well with those. Also for next week, being election day, in each of our precincts, we will not be doing totals in the Township Hall at all. So those will all be posted at each precinct. Anyone can take a photo of the unofficial results. And we're one of 11 in Genesee County that will be transmitting our results live as our receiving board finishes up that evening. So as soon as one of our teams finishes up, myself or Reagan, who's here, will be transmitting live down to the county. Our stuff will be live instantly on Genesee County's website, the results that evening. Also, we're fortunate enough to have the Associated Press will be here. NBC News out of Washington, D.C. will be here in our township. And we have one other one. So they're going to be out and about. The NBC News will be back at Grand Blanc Township on Monday, November 4th. They came in and interviewed me a week ago. A young lady flew in from Washington, D.C. So we're out on the world here, Associated Press. So there's going to be some news around in town on election day for sure. So that's just kind of what's going on, preparing for next week. We're prepared, our office is prepared. So if you guys have any questions, yeah, go ahead.
So because of the absentee ballots, will the results be known earlier on election night?
No. So everything still will not be, we cannot get any results until after 8 p.m. on that election night, and AVs take a little bit longer. We are pre-processing, but we have to wait for the last of our ballot boxes to come back in at 8 p.m. So we have 3 ballot boxes. So we'll be swearing in a couple of people to go get each location, then they'll come in. But we should have our AVs a lot earlier. 2020, we were not done until 6:30 in the morning the next day. 22, I think I got done about 3:30 in the morning. So we should have our results much earlier with our high-speed scanner and pre-processing for sure for AVs. That's our biggest.
And will it be one big vote total, it's in, or like you'll have
By
dribs and
precinct,
drabs?
how they have it. So it'll be depending on how they come in for the precincts and how they get through the receiving board. So our chairs and co-chairs come in, and they have to go through a receiving board process, which prepares us to go down, everything to go down to the county. Once that's been checked through, we'll cut the seal on that V drive and go in and transmit that way.
How many?
So,
Yeah, Oh, go ahead.
So some of them, there might be a little bit of a lag depending on what we have to get through on the receiving board before we submit any results to make sure it's properly completed.
Thank you.
How many total votes do you anticipate, do you think, would be a good
We
guess?
are usually right around 82% for a federal election that come out.
82% of
Total.
registered voters? And how many registered voters?
33,500.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when can we expect a total results package?
My goal would be that we're done by midnight on Tuesday night.
Really?
I can't imagine that we'd go much later, just depending on if we've had any major issues out in the precincts. But we really, since we've consolidated from 17 to 10 last year, so that's really helped immensely as our process for the receiving board at the end of the night, just by relieving those 7 precincts. And if early voting continues to go the way it's going, I'm not, election day will be obviously a lot lighter than what they're used to. But we haven't had a presidential, because COVID, we issued almost 16,000 ballots. So it was a big difference. So me personally being here at Grand Blanc Township, this is my second presidential here, and I was in COVID the first, so I don't know exactly. But we had close to, I would want to say, I believe it was 82% that voted in 2020.
So does this include the mail-in ballots and stuff too that you're talking about when the results come in
Yep.
Tuesday night?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so the AVs will be in a lot sooner than they have been in the past, for sure.
Very good.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thanks to you and your staff, Lynn and Dave, for all your hard work on the election. It's the amount of work that goes into running an election. I've mentioned it before that, with some jobs you can have a certain percentage of error, and in this business here, the election business, there's 0% of error that's allowed. But we've got the best team for achieving that and doing a phenomenal job. So thank you very much to all of you, Lynn. Thanks. And Reagan. Okay, we'll move on to, anybody else have public comment? Okay, seeing no further comment, we will move back to the board here, and we have a privileged presentation this evening, and we're going to get a report. And I know this is something everybody's been waiting for, is a report on how bad the mosquitoes were, and without Rose, what it would be like. But we have with us Cliff tonight. Thank you, Cliff, for joining us.
Well, it's good to see you all. I'm Cliff Huff. I'm your account manager with Rose Pest Solutions. So traditionally, our mosquito coordinator, Ashley Warner, would have been here to give you guys this update. This year, she resigned her post right at the end of the season. So we're recruiting for that position now. We'll have a new mosquito coordinator we'll be introducing you guys to next year. So I'm going to give you a rundown just of the technical data from the year. I'll do my best to answer questions that you may have, with the understanding that I'm a bit removed from that side of the process. So we started mosquito abatement in Grand Blanc Township this year on April 15th, and the season concluded on September 30th. We applied 4,543 Alticid briquettes, so that's what's applied to catch basins and standing water breeding sources. Those are to prevent the mosquitoes from being able to mature out of the larval stage once they hatch out of the eggs. We also applied 431 pounds of that product as a granule, so those would be sprinkled into smaller sources of standing water, ditchways, things like that. We applied 738 gallons of demand CS on residual barrier treatments, so that's when we go out to a property and treat foliage with about a 30-day residual left behind of extended control for mosquitoes. We applied 135 gallons of Control 4-4 out of our ULV roadway foggers. We performed 926 individual residential barrier treatments, which was increased significantly from 763 treatments in 2023. And we fielded 1,158 calls for service, and then inspected and treated at 1,069 calls this year. And that's increased from 901 calls received last year, and then 794 treated last year. And then we performed West Nile testing throughout the season. There were 0 positive results in Grand Blanc Township. There were cases in Genesee County this year, but they were in Flushing Township. So good distance on the other side from you guys. That's all I've got for you. I don't know if anybody has any questions about the season or the program in general.
So one of the things that I hear quite often during the season is I remember when they used to spray the whole township every week, or regularly, and since they stopped doing that, the mosquitoes have been horrible. And I don't know if there ever was a time where it was fogged, the whole township was fogged like every couple of weeks or what have you, but I'm not sure that would be real great for everything either, but.
Right, well, so there's essentially 2 programs that we offer. The program that you guys are on where we split the township up into sectors and monitor each sector with an individual light trap, and only trigger when thresholds are reached in those sectors. There is another version of the program where we do fog on just a scheduled basis. I don't know if there's necessarily a right or a wrong. We obviously run both of them. Certainly the program that you guys are on gives the opportunity to minimize unnecessary chemical usage when we're only treating when we know there's a direct area to treat for. With that said, I find that the public's perception of the program is they like to see the trucks going down the road with the fog coming out the back and the flashing yellow light. I'll give you an example. Mundy Township last year was on the trap program. They were very unhappy with it, complaints all year long.
Same program that we're on.
So we did switch them over to this season for a scheduled fogging. We still got a good amount of complaints all year long, though.
Trucks are driving too fast through the neighborhood.
Yeah. So you can't win one way or the other. But it is an option if you guys do ever want to explore different ways to do the program. But as far as I know, I would have to look into the history of it. But I think you've always been on the trap count triggering.
Okay.
Not always, because I can remember,
Okay.
we're probably talking 15 years ago, but when they used to.
Well, they still fog, but they only fog when.
Well, and I'll even say I
reach a
believe
certain
this
level.
year it was a significant amount more roadway fogging this year than last year. 135 gallons. So ULV, when I say ULV roadway fogging, ULV stands for ultra low volume. So an entire night of fogging, you might only use 10 gallons in a single truck. So that's a pretty significant amount when it's added up.
I got to imagine, so one of the residents I was speaking with, and, she wanted us to, just fog everything, but she also had, hummingbird garden and a pollinator garden. And I said, I'm not sure we want to do like continuous fogging. I'm not sure what the residual effect is of, all of that.
Well, so thankfully that is one good feature about the fogging, and the reason why we're able to apply it the way we do is there is no residual with the fog. So that drifts through the air, it takes care of what it makes contact on that drift path, and then once it dissipates, there's nothing left behind. And so obviously doing that in the evening when only night flying insects are out, we're able to minimize the impact on pollinators. But yeah, like an individual property treatment where we come out and spray foliage, you don't want that done anywhere near pollinating plants. Yeah.
Right. So it was a tough year, though, in terms of the amount of precipitation that we had, correct? And
July made it pretty difficult. The precipitation that we got in Genesee County when Hurricane Beryl finally made its way up here was record-breaking in most of the areas. And so again, mosquito eggs can lay dormant for 10 years, and they'll lay them in areas that might not get wet for 5 or 6 years. When we get 6 inches of rain in 2 days, some of those areas get wet. And so, yeah, there was a very large hatch in July. Going through the call log, we were completely caught up on calls, I believe, until that first week of July. And in July, I think it was a bolus, something like over 50% of the calls for the year came in during that time.
okay. Any other questions? Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Glad to be here.
Okay. Okay. Our next item is approval of the consent agenda. If somebody cares to make that motion, Ms. Hugo, supported by Mr. Fike.
Motion by Hugo, supported by Fike on the consent agenda. Trustee Fike?
Yes.
Trustee Hugo?
Yes.
Trustee Raridan?
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett?
Yes.
6-0, motion passes.
Okay. Moving on to old business, we have budget review and questions. And so anything to add, Mr. Limata?
We had the notice published, or it went out for publication, so that will be prepared for November 12th to do the Truth and Taxation hearing, where you'll approve again the amount of millage requested, and then that would support the budget, and then the actual budget hearing, public hearing for the budget, and then approval of the budget. So you have another couple of weeks to get any amendments, changes, questions answered before we would have it before the board at your November 12th meeting. We'll also have your DPW, water and sewer, enterprise funds budget to you at that meeting. That can be approved at a later date. Theoretically, it never has to be approved, but we've always historically had the board approve the DPW budget. You are required to approve the general fund and special revenue funds budgets, but you'll have it, and then you'll have a couple of weeks to review that before you're asked to approve it.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Fike?
Yes, I have a question. I read through the budget, but it is voluminous, so I may have missed some things. I saw that we're adding one police officer. Are there any other additional employees besides that officer that would be in the next budget?
So there is a position that we have out there right now, but it would be in your DPW budget for a utility billing specialist. And with the volume that we now serve for water and sewer customers, and we had a longtime employee retire a few years ago, and then the person who had taken on a lot of that has left to take another position just a few weeks ago. And that got us to looking at maybe the best way to reorganize the DPW is to get somebody focused as a utility billing specialist. We looked at several other municipalities around us, Independence Township, West Bloomfield, several others, and looked at their job descriptions, looked at what that position did, and then worked within our AFSCME union groups to talk about what that position might look like and establish a salary range. So we currently have that job posted, and that would be into 2025. But again, you won't see it in your general fund or special revenue funds budget. It would be funded in the enterprise funds by water and sewer rates. So it is adding, right now we had like 2.5 clerical positions working in there. This would be 2 clerical positions and a full-time utility billing specialist. So it is an increase in the headcount, but that's what we're proposing.
Thank you.
Any other questions regarding budget? Okay. Well, I guess we'll move it on to the next stage then. And
If something comes up between now and again November 12th, just go ahead and call me, send me an email, whatever. But we will probably do the amendments at that time if there's anything to adjust, and give you the final copy and ask for the, once you hold the public hearing, we'll ask the board to make the motion to approve the 2025 fiscal year budget.
okay. Very good. Thank you. Moving on to community survey results. Several months back, I think was June? We, as a board, we hired this firm, ETC Institute, to conduct a survey. That survey, was a random sample that was scientifically solid in terms of making sure that it represents a true picture of our entire township based on income, race, geography within our township, to make sure that everybody is represented. And we received back the results in the past week, and I think there's some very exciting points that we want to cover here, and some great things that we've uncovered. So, Mr. Limita, you want to start it out?
Sure. The company that does this for us, it is a scientific study, and they come back with a 95% confidence interval that the survey results are representative sampling of all demographics, all areas of the township. They make it specifically that it goes out and they have a precise pattern. They know that they needed a minimum of 400 surveys to come back in order to hit that statistical significance, and they received slightly more than what they needed, which was awesome. I think the biggest thing for me is we always know intrinsically that we believe that Grand Blanc Township has done a good job, but now we've got the data to support it. And I think when you look at just the executive summary, some of the things, I think that when they asked about overall satisfaction with township services, overall being rating satisfied or very satisfied, fire services 93%, police services 91%, and customer service that they received from the township employees 86%. That's really telling, because I think, there's a lot to unpack here, and it'll take a long time to do so. But when we talk about those numbers, and then we look at the benchmark reports, how they compare to other communities regionally and nationally, because that's how we really need to stand up. Having an 86% number, wow, they rated us 86% satisfied or extremely satisfied with the customer service they received from this township. But when you compare it to the region, which is Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, we had an 86% satisfaction score versus the region at 38%. Oh my gosh. When you look at nationally, we had 86%. Nationally, it's 39%.
Wow.
That, to me, tells you everything about the customer service provided by the employees of Grand Blanc Township. That is nothing short of phenomenal.
Fabulous.
I like. It's just so telling to the caliber and quality of people, of the service we deliver, of being true public servants, working for an amazing board that places emphasis on strategic planning and customer service, delivering those services, this paid off. This survey, we don't know what it's going to be when we get it, and we got it Friday, and I was a little nervous to open it because you don't know what you're going to get. But when you get this thing, and those benchmark reports to me are just amazing. But
Even police, right?
Yeah.
Police, even though we're arresting people and probably upsetting a few people, that scored very high as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can go right down the list and look how we compared, but to me, the overall quality of life was really high too. As a place to live, 87%, either excellent or good. A place to raise a family, 86%. Overall quality of life in the township, 78%. Truly amazing. Again, we talked about the customer service, but there's areas too that we look at. Communication, where can we maybe improve, get our message out better, do a better job of education. What we found out is we've been putting more involved into electronic formats, Facebook, other social medias, Instagram, thinking that that's the way that people want to receive it. Now we find out that, quite frankly, people are much more interested in seeing a township newsletter. 61% of the respondents are saying, give me a newsletter. That's how I'd prefer to get my information. So that gives us the ability to take this information that we've gathered and start to change how we do things. And the board gets an opportunity to look at all of these various aspects and incorporate those into your next strategic plan for the next 4 years. But all in all, when you look through these satisfaction ratings and you look for the charts and graphs, which are really telling, when you look at them overall and you go through all of these, just remember you're looking at that, rated good to excellent, then take a look at the neutrals. You look at the negatives, it is very, very low. I mean, such a small percentage. When we asked about, as a place to live, and we're saying, hey, this is really good. We got 87% of the people who believe that good to excellent as a place to live. 10% were neutral. Only 3% didn't agree with that statement. So, I mean, you really have to look at the data and realize that it's so minimal of the negatives in this thing. This thing is incredibly positive. But it gives us a chance to rethink how we deliver. And it is broken down more, like for the police example. You're going to go in and they're going to ask the visibility of police in my neighborhood, police around the township, efforts to prevent crime. And you got statistical numbers in there that show how they feel. So while we can't go through all of that in one meeting, that's not what this was designed to do. It's designed to grab and take a look at it. And now this is something that when you're charged with making a decision as a board, well, what do the respondents think? How do these people feel before you make that decision? We had a lot of accolades with our Parks and Recreation, with our water and sewer services. The quality of our programs were good. But I think it also, one of the questions that we had in there was, Parks and Rec millage expires in 2026, that quarter mill. We asked people if they would support a renewal of that quarter mill. 74% said absolutely. Then we said, would you accept it at 1 mill? 57% said yes, they would approve it at 1 mill. Yeah. That tells you that the residents here are saying, we love what you're doing, we like what you've done with the money, we wanted to see you continue to expand those Parks and Recreation offerings and make that park better. That's going to help the board make decisions about how do we move forward. I'm not advocating for going to 1 mill, mind you, but I am telling you that the residents recognize that you took money in for a very specific purpose. You said, give us this millage, and we're going to put it into the park, and they're recognizing the fact that you did what you said you were going to do. So I couldn't be more thrilled with this. I think it really highlights the quality and caliber of this entire township, but congratulations to our employees, because this is so huge. 86% with the service they receive from the employees of this township. Truly amazing, you guys.
No, it is truly amazing that the numbers reach that level. And again, the customer service, I hear it when I'm out talking to people in terms of how they feel they're received when they walk in our front door. And so I've been hearing that. So I'm not surprised that the ratings are high for our staff and for their reactions, but to have it that high is amazing. And what, I'll say it again, being that it's a true representation of a cross-section of our township, of our community, makes me feel even better, because most surveys, if they're not randomized scientifically, you're going to get just those people that fill out surveys, right? It's kind of like looking at the Google reviews. It's like, now, is it just all the people that had a problem that reviewed this place or this service or this item? And here we asked people, we didn't go out looking for people with problems. We went out looking for how do we get a true sample of our residents. And doesn't mean that, that there aren't areas that they want us to work on, but it helps us to clarify that. And then we also had a number of comments that they could make suggestions at the end. And some of the interesting part is probably we need to let people know where the boundaries are for Grand Blanc Township, because some of the suggestions are things that are clearly outside of the township's realm. Even geographically, they're not in the township. Buying the Jewel golf course, for one. I'm not sure why we'd want to spend money on buying a golf course that's in the city, but
We made that mistake once.
We did.
but what's that? We did buy one, yes. But I'm not sure.
And it didn't turn out well, as I recall.
Depends on who you ask.
Right, I'm not sure we want to do that again.
That was, 30 years ago?
Against the board's wishes, it was done, I understand, but but we don't want to, we want to help people to understand where I think boundaries are for the township and what things that we can invest in. And I think we've tried to do that with our newsletter and with our social media in terms of what areas of government we can influence, but things like roads and social welfare type things are better left to the county, and they're prepared to be able to get funds for those types of things rather than us trying to. Mr. Kilmer?
Well, yeah, and you just touched on it. It's obvious in reading through this thing that a lot of people really don't understand how their roads are funded and who they belong to and whatever. I mean,
Right.
they're complaining about legitimate things, but they're not complaining about things that we can necessarily do something about.
Right. Which that's why it tells me, you know, as we move forward, I think educating people more on which tree to go to bark at, you know, and we're glad, I mean, we're their advocate, and we certainly do that, but it would help if we have people knowing what part of government handles which items. I noticed several people mentioned that they wanted to have a pool, community center. And those are things that some communities do. I mean, I was in Waterford recently, and they have a millage on their ballot right now for a community center. We had people saying they think that our senior center deserves more attention and should receive more funding. You know, we want to respond that in some ways that we already collect $1.5 million for senior millage here in Grand Blanc Township that we pass on to Genesee County, $1.5 million of millage money. We get back less than 200,000 of it. But if we kept that $1.5 million, we could certainly have a pool and beautiful senior center. So, you know, it's advocating for things like that, that maybe we hang on to more of the tax money that we're already collecting. Same with the parks millage. We collect a similar amount, about $1.5 million in county millage money that we see nothing of. So I think this, you know, identifies not only the great things that we're doing, but it also tells us the areas that we probably can educate our public on in terms of what things we can control and can't control. And we certainly want to work on the things that we can control.
So we do have it posted up on our website now. I would encourage all residents to go and click on that link and read through it, because you're going to find out that you live in according to the respondents here, and again, with a 95% confidence interval from a scientific study, that it's a pretty awesome community. People really love living here. They are really happy with the services that are delivered. They love our police. They love our fire. They love our parks. And they also have some very helpful suggestions in there about things that we can do. And I think you're right, education is a big part of this. The roads, you know, like no matter how many times we think we've said it or put it out there, you know, Michigan laws don't allow us to, as a township, to have jurisdiction over roads. The road commission does. And we help with special assessment projects, and we've certainly made it easier to help with those projects. But the bottom line is we don't own the roads. We're not responsible for the potholes. We'll advocate, we work hard, but we don't get it. And I think that was one area that I think is important for us to, we look at those education opportunities and share those
Right.
with folks, right?
Same with the point on downtown. The downtown area of Grand Blanc is clearly city of Grand Blanc, and there is quite a bit of interest and emphasis on us needing to do work in the downtown area, but clearly that's not the township's responsibility. Some neat things that I think, if I could just run through, for example, quality of life and perceptions of the township. As a place to live, about 87% say that it's a good or excellent place to live. As a place to raise a family, looks like about 90% or close to it, 95, 96% say that it's a good or excellent place to raise a family. Overall quality of life in Grand Blanc Township, looks like about 78% feel that it's either excellent or good place for quality of life. Overall appearance of the township, 74% feel that it's good or excellent. What else here? As a place to educate children, looks like about, about getting close to 80%.
That same category, Mr. Supervisor,
Yes.
when they're measuring the overall quality of life perception of the township, when the respondents were asked to select the 4 items that should receive the most emphasis from township leaders over the next 2 years, the downtown development, working with the DDA, 60% respondents thought that was their first choice. Attracting more industry and related jobs, 44% of people said, yeah, that's key. And then improving non-motorized pathways, 40%, improving parks and recreation facilities, 37%. They're saying that those are the things we should focus on. What I found interesting is that just happens to coincide with the board's strategic planning items, which is exactly where your focus has been, and they're saying continue your focus on there. So that's kind of a great piece of information to say you're getting it right, keep working on it. It is what the people are telling you that they want you to keep your focus on.
You're absolutely right. It does validate our strategic plan that we've been working on. Dr. Reardon?
I would like to say, just imagine Supervisor Bennett got it right.
Yeah. I like imagining, but I like doing and getting it done. And what this does is it tells us that it's not our imagination, and it isn't that we're going off in some odd direction. This board sat down early on in our term and said, where is it that we think our emphasis needs to be? We put together, 10-page strategic plan, ended up with 3 pages of accomplishments. And I think those accomplishments and that plan are validated. The things in that plan are validated by results of this survey, because like you mentioned, Mr. Lima, the job creation and industry, we brought over 1,000 new jobs that are high paying, and even more to come. The downtown, as you mentioned, is emphasis, but we'll have to let people know, educate them that we don't have a downtown, so to speak. But right, so yeah, I'm very pleased with this, and this is going to be material for us to use as a board, and our departments to use for the future. This is going to help validate what we've been doing, but also help us to guide us into the future. So I'd be glad to entertain anybody else's questions or concerns or points that you've seen in it. Mr. Fike?
I see a lot of people, the comments afterwards are the
Yes.
ones that I've been reading, that are want lower taxes or don't want any tax increases. They feel like they're being taxed to the hilt, and maybe they're not aware of the whole pie that we've shown, that, when you look at your tax bill for your property taxes, that it's terrible to pay for all that. It's not us, we are not the thing there. There's a lot of other things on that wheel, and,
Yeah.
I guess we need to stress that.
I think, the newsletter, and actually we were, even prior to getting this results, we had conversations with staff, is that, the newsletter, how often should we do it? Currently we do it in the tax bills, and we were wondering how often should we do it. We have the social media, but clearly from the survey, it says that they want, print newsletters, but things like the tax, people don't realize that last year and this year, statewide, everybody's taxes went up 5% because it hit the maximum with the Headley Amendment. Hopefully it doesn't hit that 5% again this year. I think we'll find out in the next couple of weeks whether or not it is, but from the state of Michigan. But so that's 10% increase over the last 2 years, and that's nothing that we can affect.
Right.
So you're absolutely right. I think that's one of the comments I see reoccurring in there, and it's also one that we've heard reoccurringly.
Yeah, we are the collector, but we are not the ones that look at your tax bill. Who is it? Who are the taxing entities? Schools, college, veterans millage, senior millage, all these things that are driven outside of the township by county government and the schools and the college. And so it's just, folks need to understand that they pay their bill here at Grand Blanc Township, but we're collecting for everybody else. So
Some of the interesting things too, in looking at, the 8 programs that should receive the most emphasis. One of the top ones is a fitness center. 47% of the public feel that we need to have some type of fitness center. A space for large performances, assemblies, and meetings was 41%, which the school may want that information because I think they're looking at a performing arts center coming up and constructing one. So just some interesting things that I'm sure our residents are going to want to pour over on this survey. So it is live currently on our website, right?
It is.
Okay. Mr. Kilmer.
How would our residents access this booklet?
Yep, they can actually go online to look at it and print it off, actually.
But you just kind of said that an awful lot of our people don't go online.
Right. Well, I guess if they want to pay for a book, we probably could sell it to them, but these are going to be fairly costly to print off, but we can print it off, but they're probably cheaper to print it off on their own at home rather than us printing it and selling it to them, because we can't give them out for free. We'd have to, it's same with any document or record that we would give out from the township. If people are willing to pay for it, we can provide it, but we can't provide them for free. So they
We can email it out. We don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, we can email it to them, but they'll have to print it themselves because it would be very expensive for us to provide unlimited numbers of copies of the book. So, okay, unless there's further comments, we'll move on.
Okay.
Very good job to our team for questions, and I think that was Dennis, Melissa Roberts, and Matt Kimmer that helped put together the questions that were put into the survey. And we did reach the number that they needed fairly quickly for making this actually truly scientifically accurate study, or within the margin of error that needed to be. So thanks a lot, you guys, for your great work. Okay, moving on to next item, new business. The board will consider a motion to approve the purchase of two 2025 Easy Go Express 6 golf carts from Veers Golf Cars for $26,117.04, and authorize Township Superintendent to execute all purchase agreements. Mr. Kimmer.
So, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So the township was awarded $76,340 through the Energy Efficiency Community Block Grant Program. This is funded through the U.S. Department of Energy. One of the eligible focus areas of the grant is electric vehicles for fleets and fleet electrification. So this is a voucher program. Once we make the purchase, we just submit the voucher for reimbursement. The thought process behind the golf carts is, now that we are expanding our campus here with the new DPW and fire station facility, there will be a need for some employees to travel between buildings here, all three buildings on our campus. They could even be utilized by our IT department to take equipment over to the various buildings. A few other ideas I had, they could even possibly be used as like a courtesy shuttle for community events that we would hold. So with this, we're asking for the purchase of the two golf carts here to be reimbursed through the grant.
Okay. Could they be even used over at the park, possibly?
They could be, yes.
How
Yes.
much of this is reimbursed by the grant? Is it all of it?
So yes, the total awarded amount is $76,340. So this potential purchase of the golf carts at $26,000 and change, along with the next motion item for the hybrid vehicle, will be under that $76,000. So it's fully reimbursable.
So we're completely reimbursed.
Correct. Yes.
I like it that we're not paying for it.
You're paying for it. Okay, is there a motion, Dr. Reardon?
Make the motion. Motion by
Okay.
Reardon,
Supported by Mr. Fike.
supported by Fike on item 8A. Trustee White is absent. Trustee Reardon?
Yes.
Trustee Fike?
Yes.
Trustee Hugo?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer?
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett?
Yes.
6-0, motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Item B, the board will consider a motion to approve the purchase of a 2024 Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid from LaFontaine CDJR Lansing for $48,685 plus delivery at $2 per mile one way, and authorize the township superintendent to execute all related purchase agreements.
So again, this purchase is related to the grant as well. This is a fully reimbursable expenditure through the grant. The pricing on here is part of the state of Michigan contract pricing. So.
Okay.
So this is also,
Yep, same purposes.
Yep, same purpose, and the thought process behind adding a van to our fleet is obviously carrying a few passengers here and there, whether it be a conference. IT department, again, could utilize it for infrastructure at the senior center or the park or anything like that.
is this electric or is it gas?
It's a hybrid, yep, it's hybrid, yep.
Okay.
So even we get people coming in from out of town.
Correct.
Want to show them
Various
the area,
infrastructure throughout the township, yep.
prospective investors, what have you. Okay. Care to make a motion, anyone? Ms. Hugo makes the motion, supported by
Motion
Mr.
on item
Kilmer.
8B, motion by Hugo, supported by Kilmer. Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
6-0, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kilmer. Future agenda items, I think anything in particular, Mr. Limita, I think we'll have full agenda for our next meeting, but
The next meeting will be primarily concerned with the public hearing, truth and taxation, and the budget approval. I think we also, you're going to want to be doing some, looking at doing appointments, doing some moving forward for the new year. You'll know the outcome of the election as far as how you guys are moving forward, whether you want to start to schedule your strategic plan, retreat for 2025, that kind of thing.
right. Okay. Moving on to board reports, anything, Dr. Reardon? Ms. Hugo?
Our next meeting is the 14th. We had to
14th of November?
November, yep.
Okay. We'll plan on you being there.
I hope so.
Mr. Kilmer?
No, I have a question on the library board. Do you want me to still do something with that, or because my term is going to be expiring?
Right. We'll know more after November 5th, where we go on that, but yeah, we can talk about that, but I'd love for you to stay on there if you want. So if you'd like to, absolutely.
I'll think about it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anything, Clerk Robertson?
Well, you received the report earlier on public comments from Deputy Clerk Henry. My office has been busier than you
Yes.
can imagine. And just kudos to Lynn, to Reagan, to Michelle, and to the other staff members who are contributing a little bit of help after hours as well during this very critical time. It's really a marvel of organization to keep track of these thousands of ballots. This is real. Like I say, this is the first presidential election where we've had early voting, and we've had no reason absentee voting where where you can have basically be placed on a permanent AV list where you automatically get mailed the ballot. So you're seeing a movement from election day to earlier and earlier voting, and of course to make it easier for the citizenry, of course that puts more of a challenge on the staff to accommodate that, which is what the law requires and what the Constitution requires, and we're happy to do it. But it's just an enormous undertaking, and right now it's going very well. It's going very well.
As well as on-the-spot registration, too, if somebody's not registered.
Yes, that's
So,
correct. That is
well,
correct.
congratulations to you and your team. It's you guys are doing a phenomenal job, and your leadership there is also very much appreciated.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mr. Pike? Okay. Just a couple of items. I think we put out in social media that there was an alert to a scam that there was an individual or individuals going out to the community with some type of QR code that they wanted people to scan on their phones, and they could vote from their home by scanning that QR code. We put it out on social media that is a scam, and I see it was passed on by a number of organizations. I also read today there's some kind of scam where you scan the QR code and it locks up your phone permanently, so I'd be careful scanning anybody's QR code.
I saw on where out west, they in 2 different states, they had people set the drop boxes on fire.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
Well, we have cameras on our drop boxes, so if somebody does that, we're going
Insane.
to see it fairly quickly.
Our boxes are secure.
Yes, and they're picked up nightly, so
You betcha.
there's nothing in there overnight unless somebody puts something in there overnight. But the had a very good meeting last week with regard to some economic development in the region, and I think some things look very favorable for our area for the future here. We also, I think we put out in social media as well as press releases a $200,000 grant that we received here at the township for the continuation of the Perry pathway. Although the statement made mention of the MTA and the basically the Genesee County planning, it was really our staff that did the work on that grant. We had to have the MTA and the county help us with it because various reasons that were involved with the grant, but we're pleased to say that $200,000 is going to cover about a third of the cost for that $850,000 expenditure to help the county finish the Perry Road pathway. So even though we just kicked off an effort to raise that $850,000 about 2 months ago, if we keep making this progress, every couple months have another $200,000, we'll have that thing built next year. We had the groundbreaking for the fire department, and you can see that they're making great progress over there with moving a lot of dirt, and it's very impressive to see that going on. It just so happens that yesterday was National First Responders Appreciation Day, and thank you to both our chiefs and your teams that make sure that regardless whether it's a tornado or fire or accident or security issue, you got our back. So we appreciate what you guys and your people do for us. With that, we mentioned about the voting that we've had taking place.
That will continue through November 3rd, through the balance of this week. Tomorrow, of course,
a little bit shorter of a day.
Actually, Wednesday is 11 to 7. We have one late day.
Okay.
And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 8 to 4. So, and that'll take us through to the 3rd. And then, of course, Tuesday is Election Day.
Right.
So.
Okay. With that, Mr. Laddie or Mr. Lemina?
I just have one item. I sent correspondence out to the board confidentially, and if anybody has any questions that are general questions about that communication, I'm happy to try to answer them. Otherwise, I'll assume that you've got the facts and the issues, and I'll proceed as I indicated in the memo.
Okay. Mr. Lemina?
One thing I want to share with the board is Chief Burdett sent an email out earlier today and talked about a couple of our firefighters, but in fact, the email, I'd like to take a moment to thank everyone present at our 2 building fires last night. Your courage, skill, and dedication exemplify the very best of what it means to be a firefighter. The commitment to saving lives is a characteristic that all firefighters share. When the first apparatus arrived at the incident on Dunn Hill last night, they were met with heavy smoke conditions on the 2nd floor. Firefighter Ryan Geltema was surprised to find a resident still inside. After rescuing the resident, they were transported to a local hospital for smoke inhalation. Congratulations to Ryan for a job well done. And thank you for your hard work and bravery. Your efforts not only made a significant impact on the lives of those you helped, but also reinforced the trust and admiration our community has for our firefighters. Keep up the incredible work. Thank you, Chief Burdett. I wanted to bring that to your attention because you saw a lot of emails going out today to firefighter Geltman, thanking him for his heroic efforts in saving the life of this individual, but also just to point out again, our first responders, and these are the guys we count on, and when we talk about giving back to them and building this new fire station, that's the kind of caliber of the people that we're trying to make sure that we're providing the best. Like we always say, we want the best trained, best equipped, best paid firefighters that we can possibly put forth for Grand Blanc Township, and this is an indication of that. And Chief, I really appreciate you getting that message out, because I think it really sent a message out to your team exactly what they do each and every day, and seeing the other firefighters come back and congratulate them. So it wasn't just Ryan that was out there, but the entire team that went out on 2 building fires. And so just want to mention that to the board, that pretty cool thing, and congratulations to firefighter Geltman on a job well done.
In this day and age, when it's very difficult for municipalities to recruit people for fire and police, one of the things that we can be very proud of is that we're a destination place, I believe, for individuals that want to work in that profession. I mean, when I'm swearing in people for both fire and police, and they're coming to us from other parts of Michigan to work here, that speaks very highly of Grand Blanc Township Police and Fire. So, or they could have come here for our climate and our lakes. But I believe they came here because of the culture that people know that we have here with our police and fire, and it's a culture of excellence, and we have a community that supports both our fire and police as well, so, and a board that does. So you're absolutely right, Mr. Lemina. Anything else that we need to cover? Okay, motion to adjourn then is in order.
Motion by
Ms. Hugo,
Hugo,
support.
supported by Bennett, to adjourn.
All those in favor say aye.
We are adjourned at
6:57.
6:57 p.m.
Thank you, everyone.